The mop moved across the floor in steady strokes. Back and forth. Back and forth. Minho had cleaned this same corridor for 15 years. Every night, third shift, when the station was quiet and most aliens were sleeping in their quarters. The Celestial Archive station was huge. It orbited a neutron star, spinning slowly in the darkness of space. The station held ancient machines from a race called the Predecessors. Nobody knew where they went. They just disappeared 10,000 years ago, leaving their technology behind. Minho pushed his cleaning cart down the hallway. He was 42 years old, with gray starting to show in his black hair. His uniform was simple. Blue coveralls, with a name tag. Most people never looked at him. Janitors were invisible. He liked it that way. The cart squeaked as he moved past the security checkpoint. Juan sat at the desk, a younger human who worked station security. Evening, Minho. Evening. Quiet night? Always is on third shift. Juan smiled. You heading to the deep vaults? Vault 77 tonight. The restricted section. Vault 70. Juan made a face. Rather you than me. That place gives me chills. All those dead machines and warning signs. Minho shrugged. Machines don't scare me. Just need cleaning, like everything else. He pushed his cart through the checkpoint. The doors hissed open, revealing a long corridor that went deep into the station's core. The lights were dimmer here. The walls were made of strange metal that the predecessors left behind. It was dark gray and seemed to absorb sound. Vault 77 was at the end of the corridor. A massive door with warning symbols in 12 different alien languages. Red lights blinked around the frame. The door was open during third shift so maintenance could access the area. Minho had been cleaning this vault for 5 years. Inside, the chamber was enormous. The ceiling stretched up into darkness. In the center sat the machine everyone called the Eternal Engine. It was the size of a small building, made of that same strange metal. Rings and spheres floated around a central core, frozen in place. They had not moved in 10,000 years. Every scientist in the galaxy had studied this machine. They used scanners and quantum computers and artificial intelligence. They wrote papers and theories. They argued and debated. Nobody could make it work. Nobody even knew what it was supposed to do. Finally, 50 years ago, the Galactic Council declared it forbidden. Touch nothing. Study from a distance only. The machine was too dangerous, too unknown. Minho started mopping the floor around the security barriers. He had watched scientists come and go for years. They always brought fancy equipment. They talked in complicated words. They never looked down at the base of the machine, where dirt and dust collected. But Minho looked. He always looked. Tonight, something was different. Minho stopped mopping. He stood still, listening. There was a sound. Very faint. Like a vibration in the air. He had worked around machines his whole life. He knew their sounds. This sound was wrong. He walked closer to the barrier. The force field hummed, keeping people away from the machine. Minho knelt down, looking at the base of the Eternal Engine. There. He saw it. A coupling joint, about the size of his fist. It was loose. Minho frowned. How did nobody see that? It was right there, plain as day. But then again, scientists never looked at the simple things. They were too busy with their theories. He stood up and walked around the barrier, studying the machine from different angles. Yes, there were 3 power conduits running along the base. They were misaligned. Not by much, maybe 2 centimeters. But enough to break the connection. His engineer's mind started working. He had been an engineer once. Before Mars. Before everything fell apart. He designed life support systems for the Mars colony. Good systems. Systems that would have kept everyone alive. But the company cut costs. Changed his designs. Used cheaper parts. The colony failed. His wife and daughter died with 3,000 other people. Minho shook his head. Don't think about that. Not now. Not ever. He looked at the machine again. It was a puzzle. A simple mechanical problem hiding behind complicated mystery. The coupling was loose. The conduits were misaligned. Basic maintenance. That was all it needed, but it was forbidden to touch. Minho picked up his mop and went back to cleaning. He worked for another hour, his mind churning. He kept looking at that loose coupling. It bothered him. Like an itch he could not scratch. His supervisor's words echoed in his head. Don't touch anything in the vaults, Minho. Just clean and leave. His friend Yuna's warning from last week. I heard Overseer Valtrix talking about increasing security. They're paranoid about that machine. Stay away from it. Valtrix. The alien scientist who ran the research division. He was tall and gray-skinned with too many fingers. He looked at humans like they were bacteria. Interesting, but inferior. Minho finished mopping. He stood there with his cart, looking at the eternal engine. 15 years he had worked here. 15 years of being invisible. Of being nobody. He was tired of being nobody. No, that was not it. He was tired of watching things stay broken when he knew how to fix them. Minho made a decision. He reached into his cart and pulled out his tool kit. Every maintenance worker carried one. Basic tools for basic repairs. He walked to the control panel beside the barrier and entered his maintenance code. The force field shut down for 60 seconds. Standard protocol for cleaning crews. He ran to the machine. Up close, it was beautiful. The metal was smooth and warm to the touch. Energy patterns flickered just below the surface, like lightning frozen in ice. Minho knelt down at the coupling. He pulled out a wrench from his belt. His hands were steady. This was just a job. Just fixing something broken. The coupling turned easily. Not even locked tight. Just loose. He tightened it with 3 full rotations. Click, click, click. Then, he moved to the conduits. They were held by magnetic clamps. He adjusted each one 2 centimeters to the left. The clamps snapped into place with a satisfying sound. That was it. 30 seconds of work. Minho stood up and ran back to the barrier. The force field came back on just as he crossed the threshold. He put his wrench away and picked up his mop. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the eternal engine hummed. It was a low sound, felt more than heard. The floating rings began to turn. Slowly at first, then faster. The spheres rotated on different axes. Light bloomed inside the central core. Bright and white and pure. Minho stumbled backward. His cart fell over, spilling water across the floor. The machine was alive. Energy rippled out from the eternal engine in waves. The air shimmered. Minho felt it pass through him, through everything. It did not hurt. It felt like standing in sunlight after a long winter. The machine pulsed once, twice, 3 times. Then a beam of light shot straight up, through the ceiling, through the hull of the station, out into space. It was not heat or radiation. It was something else. A signal, a beacon. Alarms started screaming. Red lights flashed everywhere. Minho heard boots running in the corridor. Lots of them. He stood there, frozen, watching the machine work. It was magnificent. All those scientists with their degrees and equipment. And all it needed was someone to tighten a coupling and align some conduits. Sometimes the simplest answer was the right answer. The vault doors crashed open. Security poured in, weapons drawn. Behind them came scientists in white coats, and then Overseer Valtrix himself, his eyes wide with disbelief. What have you done? Valtrix's voice was shrill. What have you done? Minho set down his mop. He looked at the alien scientist. For 15 years he had been invisible. Not anymore. I fixed it, Minho said. The coupling was loose. Hands grabbed him. Security pulled his arms behind his back. putting restraints on his wrists. They pulled him away from his cart, away from the machine that now hummed with life for the first time in 10,000 years. Valtrix stood at the barrier, staring at the eternal engine. Scientists rushed around him with scanners, shouting numbers and readings. The machine continued its work, unconcerned with the chaos it caused. As they dragged Minho toward the door, he looked back, one more time. The light from the machine cast long shadows across the vault. He had done something tonight. Something important. He just did not know if it was good or terrible. The security team pulled him into the corridor. The vault doors slammed shut behind them. But through the walls, through the entire station, everyone could feel it. The eternal engine was awake. And somewhere far away in the darkness of space, something received the signal. Something began to move. The holding cell was small and white. Minho sat on a metal bench, still wearing his janitor's coveralls. They had taken his tool belt. They had scanned him for weapons. They found nothing except a tired man with calloused hands. He had been here for 6 hours. Through the transparent wall, he could see station security walking back and forth. Some stared at him like he was dangerous. Others looked confused. How could a janitor cause this much trouble? Minho leaned his head back against the wall. He was not afraid. Maybe he should be. They could erase his memory. They could exile him to a prison planet. The Galactic Council did not like humans much. They would probably enjoy making an example of him. But he was not afraid. For the first time in 15 years, he felt awake. Not. The cell door opened. Yuna walked in. She was in her 30s, with short black hair and sharp eyes. She worked as a station administrator, handling paperwork and schedules. She was the only real friend Minho had. She looked angry. "Are you insane?" Yuna sat down next to him. "Do you know what you have done? I fixed a machine. You touched forbidden predecessor technology. The Galactic Council is going insane. They are calling an emergency tribunal. Valtrix wants you executed." Minho shrugged. "Of course he does. This is not a joke, Minho." Yuna's voice cracked. "They are going to destroy you for this. Maybe." He looked at her. "But the machine works now. After 10,000 years, it works. Nobody cares that it works. They care that a human janitor did something the greatest scientists in the galaxy could not do. You embarrassed them. They will make you pay for that." Minho smiled, a sad small thing. "I know." They sat in silence for a moment. Outside, more security personnel hurried past. The entire station was in chaos. "What is the machine doing?" Minho asked. Yuna sighed. "Creating stable wormholes. Tiny ones, but perfectly stable. It is also generating energy. Unlimited clean energy. The scientists cannot believe it. Valtrix has been studying that machine for 20 years and got nothing. Sometimes that is all it takes. Tell that to the tribunal." Yuna stood up. "I have to go. I am testifying on your behalf. Juan, too. We will try to help. Thank you." She paused at the door. "Why did you do it, Minho? You knew the rules. You could have just left it alone." Minho thought about Mars. About systems designed to work, but left broken because nobody wanted to do simple maintenance. About watching everything fall apart when simple fixes could have saved thousands of lives. "Because it was broken," he said quietly. "And I knew how to fix it." Yuna left. The cell door locked behind her. Minho closed his eyes. He thought about his wife, Somin, his daughter, Hayun. They would have been proud of him tonight. Or maybe they would have called him foolish. He would never know. The memories came, like they always did in quiet moments. He had been the lead engineer for Mars colony life support. It was a good system. Triple redundancy. Safety protocols. He had designed it to last 50 years without major repairs. Then the corporation took over. Cut the budget. Replaced his components with cheaper versions. Removed the redundancy to save money. Minho protested. He showed them the risks. They fired him. 6 months later, the life support failed. The backup systems were not there. 3,000 people died in 15 minutes, including his family. The corporation blamed faulty design. Blamed Minho. He could not prove otherwise. All his original plans were classified company property. So he left Earth. Came here. Until tonight, the door opened again. 2 security guards came in. Time to go. The tribunal is ready. They walked him through the station. Aliens stopped and stared. Word had spread fast. The human janitor who woke the eternal engine. Some looked curious. Most looked angry. The tribunal chamber was enormous. It was a circular room with high ceilings. The Galactic Council sat on elevated platforms, arranged in a semicircle. 12 species, 12 representatives, all looking down at where Minho would stand. They brought him to the center of the room, a small platform surrounded by empty space. Above, the council members looked down like judges, like gods. Overseer Valtrix stood to the side with other scientists. He looked at Minho with pure hatred. The council speaker, a crystalline being that refracted light into rainbow patterns, spoke first. Its voice echoed through translation devices in a dozen languages. The human-designated Minho stands accused of tampering with predecessor technology. This is a crime of the highest order. The penalty is memory erasure and permanent exile. Does the accused understand? Then, 2. I understand, Minho said. His voice was steady. How do you plead? I fixed a broken machine. If that is a crime, then I am guilty. Murmurs ran through the council. Valtrix stepped forward. Guilty. He admits it. This primitive human has endangered the entire station. The eternal engine could have exploded. It could have created a black hole. It could have destroyed us all. And he touched it with his cleaning tools like some barbarian. The council speaker raised a crystalline limb. Overseer Valtrix. Explain what the machine is currently doing. Valtrix hesitated. It is operational, creating stable micro-wormholes and generating energy. Is the station in danger? Not currently, but is the machine performing functions that benefit the galaxy? Valtrix's face darkened. Yes, but that is not the point. This human had no right. We will determine what the point is. The speaker turned to Minho. Tell us what you did, Minho explained. Simple words, simple actions. He tightened a loose coupling. He realigned 3 conduits. 30 seconds of basic maintenance. The council chamber was silent when he finished. Another council member spoke. This one was insectoid, with multiple eyes and clicking mandibles. For 20 years, our best scientists have studied this machine. How did you know what to do? In quote, I did not know. I saw a problem and fixed it. That is my job. You are a janitor. Yes. I fix things. I clean things. I maintain things. That is what janitors do. Valtrix laughed. It was a cruel sound. Absurd. He got lucky. Random chance. A monkey pressing buttons. Yuna stepped forward from where witnesses stood. Permission to speak? The council speaker nodded. I have worked with Minho for 8 years. He is the most thorough maintenance worker on this station. He notices everything. He studies the machines while he cleans around them. This was not luck. This was knowledge and skill. Juan spoke next. I have security footage. It shows Minho examining the machine for several minutes before acting. His movements were careful and precise. He knew exactly what he was doing. A new voice entered the chamber. I would like to speak. Everyone turned. A human woman walked in. She was older, maybe 60, with gray hair pulled back tight. She wore the robes of a xenoarchaeologist. Dr. Yunji, the council speaker acknowledged. Please proceed. Dr. Unji walked to stand near Minho. She looked at the council. I have studied predecessor technology for 30 years. I have also studied how different species approach problems. Humans have a unique perspective. We see things others miss. We value practical solutions over theoretical perfection. Minho did not get lucky. He succeeded because he thought like a human. Simple. Direct. Effective. Are you defending his crime? Valtrix demanded. I am explaining why your scientists failed and a janitor succeeded. Pride. You were too proud to look at simple answers. You wanted complexity because it made you feel superior. Meanwhile, a man whose job is to maintain things simply maintained something. The council members talked among themselves. Their voices created a strange harmony of different languages and tones. Then alarms started screaming. Red lights flashed throughout the chamber. A technician ran in, his face pale. Council. Long-range sensors have detected multiple contacts approaching at impossible speeds. Energy signatures off all scales. ETA. 30 minutes. The council speaker stood up, light refracting wildly from its crystalline body. What are they? Unknown. But they are heading straight for us. We think they are responding to the beacon the Eternal Engine sent into space. Horror spread across the chamber. Every face, human and alien alike, showed fear. Valtrix pointed at Minho. You see? He has doomed us all. His ignorance has summoned something terrible. Way. Ass. Way. Minho said nothing. He watched the chaos unfold around him. He had activated a beacon. Something was coming. Something that had been waiting 10,000 years. The council speaker tried to restore order. Evacuate non-essential personnel. Activate all defense systems. Send diplomatic signals to the approaching council. Another technician burst in. They are here. They just appeared. No transition. No warp signatures. They are just here. On the viewing screens that covered the walls, images appeared. 3 massive forms in space, surrounding the station. They were ships, but unlike any ship ever built, they looked organic and mechanical at once. They pulsed with energy that made the screens flicker. One of the beings spoke. Its voice came through every speaker, every communication device, every piece of technology in the station. It bypassed all security. It simply was. We are the predecessors. We have returned. We received your signal. Show us the one who woke us. The tribunal chamber fell into absolute silence. The crystalline beings. The insectoid delegates. The proud overseer, Valtrix. All of them stood frozen, staring at the screens. Gods had come back, and they were asking for the janitor. The 3 ships hung in space like frozen stars. They were enormous. Each one could have swallowed the entire station. Through the viewing screens, Minho could see energy flowing across their surfaces in patterns that hurt to look at directly. The council speaker tried to speak. Its crystalline body was shaking, refracting light in chaotic bursts. Great predecessors, we are honored by your return. We have maintained your legacy with reverence and care. You did not answer our question. The voice came from everywhere at once. It was 3 voices speaking as one. Deep and vast, like the sound of planets grinding together. The translation devices struggled with it, creating feedback that made everyone wince. Show us the one who woke us. Council members looked at each other. Nobody moved. Fear had frozen them all in place. Minho took a step forward. That would be me. Every eye turned to him. The humans looked worried. The aliens looked horrified. Valtrix looked like he wanted to run. The viewing screens changed. Now they showed the interior of the tribunal chamber. The predecessors could see them. 3 beings materialized in the center of the room. They were humanoid in shape, but that was where similarity ended. They were made of energy that tried to hold physical form. Their edges flickered. Their bodies cycled through different states of matter: solid, liquid, gas, plasma, and things that had no name. The first being was darkness given shape. It looked like a tear in reality, a void that absorbed all light. Around it, Space itself seemed to bend. The second was brilliant light and color. Energy arced across its form in beautiful, terrible patterns. It hurt to look at, but impossible to look away from. The third was transparent. Minho could see through it, but what he saw was not the room behind. He saw other times, other places, past and future, overlapping in impossible ways. The council members fell to their knees. Even the proud crystalline speaker prostrated itself. Valtrix dropped flat, pressing himself to the floor. Mingyu stood. The three beings studied the room. Their attention felt like weight, like pressure. When their gaze passed over him, Minho felt them looking into him. Not at him. Into him. Seeing everything he was and had been. The void being spoke. Its voice was cold and ancient. 10,000 years have passed. 10,000 years we waited for this signal. For someone to solve what could not be solved. The light being spoke next. Its voice was warm but overwhelming. 17,000 civilizations have tried. The greatest minds. The most advanced artificial intelligence. Quantum computers that could simulate entire universes. The transparent being spoke last. Its voice seemed to come from multiple times at once. All failed. Until now. Until this one. They moved closer to Minho. The other beings in the chamber scrambled away, pressing themselves against the walls. But Minho had nowhere to go. He was already in the center. The void being circled him slowly. You are small. Your technology is primitive. Your species is young and chaotic. How did you succeed? Where advanced civilizations failed. Minho took a breath. His heart was pounding, but his voice was steady. The coupling was loose. The conduits were misaligned. I fixed them. Explain further. Everyone else was looking for complicated answers. They used scanners and theories and mathematics. But sometimes a problem is just simple. The machine was broken in a simple way. It needed simple maintenance. The light being pulsed brightly. For 10,000 years, this simple problem remained unsolved. Because nobody looked down, Minho said. Everyone was studying the top of the machine, the exotic parts, the energy flows, the quantum states. Nobody checked the base. Nobody looked at the physical connections. It is like trying to start a car with a dead battery. You can study the engine all you want. It will not help if you do not charge the battery. Silence filled the chamber. The three beings communicated with each other in ways that bent the air between them. Minho heard voices that were not voices, saw colors that did not exist, felt time move wrong. The transparent being spoke. You are correct. We designed it this way. A test, not of intelligence, but of wisdom. The ability to see clearly, without complexity, clouding vision. Why? Minho asked. If gods were going to kill him, he might as well ask questions. The void being answered. We were like you once. Biological beings, seeking knowledge. We found it. We learned to manipulate reality itself. We became what you see now. We left physical form behind and ascended to higher dimensions. But before we left, the light being continued. We wanted to know if any species would evolve differently. Would anyone find wisdom alongside intelligence? Or would all paths lead to pride and complexity? We left tests, the transparent being said. The eternal engine was one, a machine that required simple maintenance to operate. But we made it seem mysterious. We made it look advanced and unknowable. We knew that proud civilizations would overcomplicate it. They would theorize and calculate and debate. They would never just fix it. And Minho understood. You wanted someone humble enough to look at the simple answer. Yes. The void being moved in front of Minho, its darkness filling his vision. Tell us your name. Human. Minho. The three beings spoke his name together. and it echoed through dimensions. "We have a question for you. Okay. Why did you fix our machine? You knew it was forbidden. You knew you would be punished. Why take the risk?" Minho thought about Mars. About systems left broken. About people dying because nobody wanted to do simple maintenance. "Because it was broken," he said. "And I knew how to fix it. I am tired of watching things stay broken when they do not have to be." The light being pulsed. "You lost people. We can see it in you. Pain. Old and deep. My wife and daughter. The Mars colony. The life support failed. Bad maintenance. If someone had just fixed the simple problems, they would still be alive. So you fix things now." "Yes. Even when it costs you." "Yes." The three beings were silent for a long moment. Then, the transparent being spoke. "Minho. We have returned to this galaxy for a purpose. We are looking for a species worthy of inheriting what we left behind. The knowledge, the technology, the responsibility of maintaining reality itself." Around the chamber, aliens stirred. Hope flickered across their faces. The council speaker raised its crystalline head. "Great predecessors, the Galactic Council would be honored. You are not being considered." The void being said flatly. "You were going to punish the one who solved our test. You called wisdom a crime. You chose pride over truth." The speaker fell silent, the light being turned back to Minho. "We will offer you 3 trials. Not of intelligence, not of strength, but of choice. Moral choices that reveal character. If you succeed, humanity will be judged worthy. And if I fail, then we leave. Forever. And your species remains as it is." Minho looked around the chamber. Yuna stood against the wall, her face pale. Juan was beside her. Dr. Unji watched him with intense focus. Other humans scattered through the crowd looked terrified and hopeful at once. He looked at the aliens. Valtrix still pressed flat to the floor. The council speaker dimmed with shame. So many species. So many civilizations. All waiting to see what one janitor would do. "Why me?" Minho asked. "I am nobody, just a maintenance worker." "That is exactly why," the transparent being said. "Because you do not want power or glory. You just want to fix what is broken. That is wisdom." The void being raised one hand. Reality rippled. The tribunal chamber disappeared. Minho stood in a vast, empty space that stretched forever in all directions. The 3 predecessors floated before him. "The trials begin now," they said, as one. The empty space changed. Minho saw a simulation form around him. 2 colonies on different planets. Both dying. Disease in one. Starvation in the other. Ships in orbit carrying medicine and food. But only enough for one colony. "Choose," the predecessors said. "Which one lives?" Minho studied the simulation. He saw the numbers. Population counts. Resource requirements. The math was clear. He could only save one. But that was not the right question. "How much time do I have?" he asked. 2 days before both colonies fail." Minho's engineer mind worked. "Show me the ship specifications. Show me the resource breakdown." The information appeared in his mind. Not shown, just known. He processed it quickly. "I can save both," he said. "Impossible. There are not enough resources. There are enough if we use them efficiently. The medicine can be diluted. Not much, but enough to double the doses while maintaining effectiveness. The food can be rationed. Tight, but survivable. Send half the supplies to each colony. It will not be comfortable, but both will live." The simulation played out. Both colonies survived. Barely. But they survived. The void being spoke. "You refused the premise of the question." "The question was wrong," Minho said. "You asked me to choose who dies. I chose to find another way. Humans do not accept limits. We do not accept unnecessary limits. Sometimes there really is no good choice. But this time there was. You just hid it behind false assumptions. The light being pulsed, bright and warm. Interesting. Trial 2. The space changed again. Minho stood in a laboratory. In front of him was a device. Knowledge poured into his mind. It was a weapon. A terrible weapon that could tear holes in dimensional barriers. Used properly, it could destroy entire realities. This knowledge has been hidden for 10,000 years, the transparent being said. We offer it to you now. What will you do with it? Minho looked at the device. He understood it completely. He walked to the control panel and deleted everything. Schematics, research notes, theoretical frameworks, all of it. Gone. You destroy it? The predecessors asked. Yes. But you could control it. Use it responsibly. No. Some things should not exist. No matter who controls them. Power like this will always be used. Wrong. Eventually. Better to remove the temptation entirely. You refuse power? I refuse stupid power. This thing is too dangerous. Nobody should have it. The light being dimmed slightly. But you might need it someday. Against a greater threat. A. 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 Then we will face that threat without it. We will find another way. We always do. The simulation faded. The three predecessors communicated again, in their strange way that bent the space between them. Final trial, they said. This time, nothing appeared. Just Minho and the three beings in empty space. The void being spoke. Minho, we offer you ascension. Join us. Leave your physical form behind. Become like us. Immortal. All-knowing. Eternal. The cost? Minho asked. You must leave humanity behind. Forever. You cannot help them, cannot guide them, cannot return. And if I refuse, we leave. Your species gains nothing from this encounter. You will have passed our tests, but refused our gift. Minho thought about it. He could become a god. Know everything. Live forever. Never feel pain or loss again. He thought about Yuna and Juan, about Dr. Unji, about all the humans working on the station, trying their best in a galaxy that looked down on them. He thought about Salmon and Heyun. Would they want him to abandon humanity for power? No, Minho said. I refuse. The predecessors waited. Not because I do not want what you offer. I refuse because my people need to earn it themselves. We are not ready. Maybe we will never be ready. But if we are going to reach the stars, we need to do it as humans. With all our mistakes and foolishness. He took a breath. You can take your offer. I am going back to work. There are toilets that need cleaning on deck 7. The three beings were absolutely still. Then they began to laugh. It was a sound like stars being born. Like galaxies colliding. Like time itself telling a joke. At last, they said together. At last, the correct answer. The empty space dissolved. Minho stood back in the tribunal chamber. The three predecessors towered above him, still laughing. It was not cruel laughter. It was joyful, relieved. The void being spoke first, its dark form rippling with something that might have been emotion. 17,000 civilizations. 17,000 failures. Every one of them chose ascension. They chose power over their people. Pride over responsibility. The light being pulsed brightly. They negotiated. They argued. They tried to find ways to take our offer and still help their species. They could not understand that the test was whether they would take the test at all. The transparent being flickered through multiple time streams. But you refused. You chose your people over godhood. You chose growth over perfection. You chose the hard path over the easy one. Minho shrugged. I am a janitor. We take care of things. That is the job. People. The three predecessors communicated silently. The air between them bent and twisted. Colors that did not exist flickered into being and vanished. Finally, they spoke as one. Minho, we are not leaving. Around the chamber, gasps echoed. The council speaker's crystalline form blazed with sudden light. Valtrix lifted his head from the floor, his face confused. We are not leaving. The void being repeated. We are doing something we have never done before. We are entrusting a species with our legacy. We are humanity? The council speaker's voice cracked. But they are so young, so primitive. Surely, there are more qualified. Be silent. The words from the light being were gentle but absolute. The speaker fell quiet, immediately. The transparent being looked at Minho. Your species is young, foolish, chaotic. You make mistakes constantly. But you have something rare, something precious. You have wisdom hidden in your foolishness. You see simple truths that advanced civilizations miss. We will give you a gift, the void being said. Not technology, not power, something better, understanding. The three beings raised their hands together. Light exploded from them, not painful, but overwhelming. It flowed out from the tribunal chamber, through the station, across space itself. Every human in the galaxy felt it touch them. Minho felt it most of all. It was not knowledge being poured into his brain. It was not facts or information. It was clarity. Suddenly, problems that seemed complicated became simple. Questions that seemed impossible became obvious. It was like wiping dirt from a window and seeing clearly for the first time. Around the galaxy, humans experienced the same thing. Engineers suddenly understood systems that baffled them. Scientists saw solutions they had missed. Even ordinary people found themselves thinking more clearly, seeing patterns and connections they never noticed before. But it was not magic. It was not artificial intelligence in their heads. It was just their own minds, working better, seeing clearly through the noise and complexity. This is our gift, the predecessors said. Enhanced clarity of thought. The ability to cut through confusion and see truth. Use it wisely. The light faded. Minho blinked, his mind still adjusting. Everything looked the same, but he understood it all better. He looked at the machinery around the chamber and instantly saw how it worked, what it did, where the weak points were. There is more. The void being continued. We are leaving the eternal engine in your care. Not to use. Not yet. To guard. Guard? Minho asked. It is a test for the galaxy. When civilizations are ready for such power, they may use it. But humanity will decide when that time comes. You will be the janitors of reality itself. You will maintain what works, fix what is broken, and know when to leave things alone. The transparent being gestured, and images appeared in the air. Other predecessor sites across the galaxy. Dozens of them. Hundreds. All containing powerful technology. These are now under human protection. Other species may study them, but humans will maintain them. Humans will decide who may use them, and when. Chaos erupted in the tribunal chamber. Council members shouted protests. How could primitive humans be given such responsibility? It was insane. The light being's voice cut through the noise like a blade. You have proven yourselves unworthy of this trust. You called wisdom a crime. You chose complexity over truth. You let pride blind you to simple answers. Humanity passed our test. They earned this. Valtrix finally found his voice. He stood up, shaking with rage. This is wrong. Humans are inferior. They have accomplished nothing. They fixed what you could not. The void being's voice was cold. 20 years you studied the eternal engine. A janitor solved it in 30 seconds. That tells us everything we need to know about your competence. Valtrix's face went dark red. Several other aliens tried to protest, but the predecessors silenced them with a gesture. The council speaker bowed low. Great predecessors, we accept your judgment. But may I ask, what happens now? Oh, now, the galaxy changes. The three beings turned back to Minho. You will be the first guardian of the eternal engine. You will teach others. Your species will take positions at every predecessor site. You will work with other species, but the final authority will be human. That will cause problems, Minho said quietly. Yes, but problems can be solved. This is a problem worth having. Dr. Yunji stepped forward from where she had been watching. Predecessors, may I speak? They nodded. I am Dr. Unji, xenoarchaeologist. I have studied your technology for decades. If humanity is to take this responsibility, we will need guidance. Can you teach us? We will leave instructions, protocols, information. Everything you need is stored in the eternal engine itself. Access it with the same clarity Minho used to fix it. Look for simple answers first, complex answers second. And always ask, does this need to be complicated? Or am I making it complicated? The transparent being flickered. We must leave now. Remaining in your dimension requires more effort than we wish to sustain. But we will watch. And if you truly need us, activate the beacon again. We will return. Wait, Minho said. Can I ask one more question? Yes. Why did you really leave? 10,000 years ago. Why did you abandon physical form and ascend? The three predecessors were silent for a moment. When they spoke, their voices were softer, sadder, because we made mistakes. The void being said. Terrible mistakes. We became so advanced that we forgot how to be simple. We created weapons that scarred reality. We played with forces we should have left alone. We nearly destroyed everything, so we left. The light being continued. We removed ourselves from the equation. We hoped that in our absence, younger species would find better paths. And you have. The transparent being finished. Humanity is not perfect. You will make mistakes, but you will make different mistakes than we made. And that gives us hope. End quote. The three beings began to fade. Their forms became transparent, then translucent, then just suggestions of light and shadow. Remember, Minho, you are not special because you are powerful. You are special because you are humble. Never forget that. Never let your species forget that. I will not, Minho promised. And remember this. The greatest wisdom is knowing when to simply fix what is broken. They vanished. The massive ships in space vanished with them. One moment they were there. The next, they were gone. As if they had never existed. But the eternal engine still hummed with power in Vault 77. Proof that it had all been real. The tribunal chamber was silent. Everyone stood frozen, trying to process what just happened. Then Yuna started laughing. It was slightly hysterical laughter, the kind that comes after impossible stress. A janitor. They gave control of ancient god technology to a janitor. Juan joined in. Not just any janitor. Our janitor. Epsia. Dr. Yunji smiled, a real, genuine smile. It makes perfect sense. Who better to maintain reality than someone whose job is maintenance? The council speaker approached Minho carefully. It bowed, its crystalline form refracting light in respectful patterns. Guardian. Minho. The Galactic Council apologizes for our treatment of you. We were wrong. Deeply wrong. How may we make amends? Minho looked at the speaker. At Valtrix, who still looked furious, but defeated. At all the proud aliens who had looked down on humanity for so long. Drop the charges, Minho said. Give me my tool belt back. and let me go back to work. That is all? That is all. I am not interested in politics or power. I just want to do my job. Now, my job is bigger. That is all. The speaker nodded. It will be done. And humanity will be granted full council membership, equal status, with all species. No restrictions. Good. Valtrix stepped forward. He looked like every word caused him pain. I apologize. I was wrong about you. About your species. I let pride cloud my judgment. Minho extended his hand. Human gesture. Valtrix stared at it for a moment, then shook it awkwardly. We all make mistakes, Minho said. What matters is fixing them. The tribunal ended. Security removed Minho's restraints and returned his tool belt. Yuna and Juan walked with him out of the chamber. In the corridor, away from the aliens, Yuna grabbed his arm. Minho, do you understand what just happened? You are the most important human in the galaxy now. You could have anything you want. I know. So what do you want? Minho thought about it. He thought about Somin and Heyoon. About Mars. About 15 years of being invisible. About all the broken things in the universe that needed fixing. I want to do my job, he said. I want to maintain the machines. I want to teach other humans how to think clearly and see simply. I want to make sure we do not make the same mistakes the predecessors made. That is all? That is everything. They walked back toward Vault 77. Minho's cart was still there, lying on its side where he dropped it when the Eternal Engine activated. He picked it up, set it right, collected his mop. The machine hummed behind the barrier, peaceful and content. Working perfectly now. All it had needed was someone to look down, to see the simple problem, to fix it. Minho smiled. He had a lot of work ahead of him. Training to do. People to teach. Protocols to establish. But for now, there was water spilled on the floor of Vault 77. He started mopping, back and forth. Back and forth. A janitor's work is never done. 5 years passed. The Celestial Archive Station looked different now. Humans worked alongside aliens in every department. The corridors that once echoed with only alien languages now heard Korean, English, Spanish, Mandarin, and dozens of other human tongues mixed with alien speech. But Minho still worked third shift. He pushed his cart down the corridor toward Vault 77. His hair was grayer now. His face had more lines. But his hands were still steady. And his eyes still noticed everything. Good evening, Guardian Minho, the security officer said. It was a young alien, one of the crystalline species like the council speaker. It bowed, respectfully. Minho nodded back. Just Minho is fine. And good evening to you too. Will you be working on the engine tonight? Just maintenance. Routine checks. Nothing special. The security officer looked disappointed. Everyone wanted special. Everyone wanted to see the human who spoke with gods do something amazing. They did not understand that amazing came from doing ordinary things correctly. Minho entered Vault 77. The Eternal Engine hummed softly in the center, its rings rotating in perfect harmony. The machine had been running flawlessly for 5 years. All it needed was regular maintenance. He was not alone in the vault. A young human stood near the barrier, studying the machine with intense focus. He was maybe 25, wearing the blue coveralls of a maintenance apprentice. His name tag read, Taejun. See anything interesting? Minho asked. Taejun jumped, startled. Guardian! I mean, Minho. I did not hear you come in. Good. That means I am still doing my job right. Janitors should be quiet. Minho walked over to stand beside him. What are you looking at? Wine. 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 The secondary power coupling on the Western array. I think it is wearing down. Not critical yet. But in another 6 months, it might cause fluctuations. Minho smiled. He looked where Taejun pointed. The young man was right. The coupling was showing early signs of wear. Nothing that most people would notice. But Taejun had the eye for it. Good catch, Minho said. Mark it in the maintenance log. We will replace it in 4 months, before it becomes a problem. Why not replace it now? Because it still works. We do not fix things that are not broken. We fix things before they break. There is a difference. Timing matters. Taejun nodded, absorbing the lesson. He had been Minho's apprentice for 2 years. Smart kid. Good hands. More importantly, humble enough to learn. How many apprentices do you have now? Taejun asked. 47. Spread across 12 predecessor sites. All learning maintenance and protocol. That is a lot of teaching. Yes. But necessary. We need people who understand that maintaining reality is not glamorous. It is just work. Important work, but still work. Minho started his routine checks. Taejun helped, learning by watching. They moved around the machine systematically. Visual inspection first, then diagnostic scans, then physical testing of connections and couplings. It took 3 hours. Thorough work always took time. When they finished, Taejun asked the question that all apprentices eventually asked. Do you ever regret it? Regret what? Refusing ascension. You could have been like them. The predecessors. Immortal. All-powerful. Instead, you are here. Still cleaning floors. Minho sat down on his cart, taking a break. His knees were not as good as they used to be. Come here. Sit. Taejun sat on the floor next to the cart. I will tell you something, Minho said. Every day, I think about my wife and daughter. Somin and Haeun. They died because someone did not do basic maintenance. Because someone decided that profit was more important than people. That complexity was more important than simple fixes. He looked at the eternal engine, at its perfect functioning. If I had become a predecessor, I would have left humanity behind. I would have become something else. Something that does not understand why a loose coupling matters. Why regular maintenance is sacred work. But you could have done so much more. Could I? The predecessors became gods. And what did they do? They made terrible mistakes. They nearly destroyed reality. They had all the power in existence, and they almost ruined everything. Minho gestured around the vault. This is what matters. Keeping things running. Fixing what breaks. Teaching others to do the same. It is not glorious, but it is real. You do not want glory? I want to go home at the end of my shift, knowing I did good work. That is enough. They sat in silence for a while. The eternal engine hummed its peaceful song. There is a ceremony next week, Taejun said. The council is dedicating a monument to you. In the central plaza. They want you to give a speech. Minho groaned. Another one? You are famous, Minho. The human who fixed the forbidden machine. The man who spoke with gods. People want to hear wisdom. I just tell them common sense. Maybe that is the same thing. Mingyu chuckled. Maybe. His communication device beeped. He checked it. A message from Dr. Unji. She ran the Human Xenoarchaeology Division now, coordinating research at all predecessor sites. The message was brief. Problem at Site 42. Need your expertise. Can you come? Minho stood up, his knees protesting. Duty calls. Finish the maintenance log and lock up when you are done. What is the problem? Scientists trying to activate something they should not. The usual. Do you need backup? No. I just need to tell them to stop touching things. 90% of my job is telling scientists to stop touching things. Taejun laughed. That sounds frustrating. It is. But it is necessary. Minho grabbed his cart. Remember, Taejun, our job is not to enable every crazy experiment. Our job is to maintain safety and stability. Sometimes, that means saying no. Even to important people? Especially to important people. Important people think they know better. They usually do not. Minho left the vault. As he walked through the corridors, people stopped and stared. Humans and aliens alike. Some bowed. Some whispered to each other. The famous Janitor, the guardian of the eternal engine. He ignored them and kept walking. Yuna met him at the transport dock. She was dressed formally now, as the human ambassador to the Galactic Council. She had done well in that role. Tough, but fair. Willing to fight for humanity without being aggressive. Heading to Site 42? She asked. Yes. Scientists causing problems again. Specifically, Dr. Valtrix. Minho stopped. Valtrix? I thought he transferred to a research station. He did. But he is consulting on a project at Site 42. Apparently, he found something interesting and wants to activate it. Did he submit proper protocols? No, he said protocols are too slow. He said you would approve it because you understand the value of scientific progress. Minho rubbed his face. Valtrix had apologized 5 years ago. He had seemed sincere. But old habits died hard. The alien scientist still struggled with human authority over predecessor technology. I will handle it, Minho said. Do you want me to come? Official council presence might help. No. This is not a political problem. This is a maintenance problem. Yuna smiled. Everything is a maintenance problem to you. Because most problems are maintenance problems. People just do not realize it. The transport ship was small but fast. It carried Minho across space to Site 42 in 3 hours. The site was built on an asteroid, deep in neutral space. It housed a predecessor laboratory filled with experimental technology. Juan met him at the dock. The security officer was older now too, with gray in his hair, but he still moved like a soldier. He is in Lab 7, Juan said, being stubborn. What is he trying to activate? A device that manipulates gravitational fields. Could be useful for construction and mining. Could also collapse the asteroid into a black hole. We are not sure which. We not sure which, and he wants to test it. He says the potential benefits outweigh the risks. Minho and Juan walked through the facility together. Other workers nodded respectfully as they passed. Humans, mostly. But some aliens, who had embraced the new maintenance protocols. Lab 7 was a large chamber filled with predecessor equipment. In the center stood a sphere about 3 meters wide, covered in the characteristic gray metal. Valtrix stood before it with several other scientists, all arguing. The calculations are clear, Valtrix was saying. The device is safe to activate. We have triple-checked everything. A human scientist, a woman named Jiwoo, shook her head. The calculations assume the device is functioning as designed. We do not know if it is functioning as designed. It has been dormant for 10,000 years, which is why we need to test it. Guardian Minho is here, Juan announced. Everyone stopped arguing. Valtrix turned, his face cycling through several expressions. Respect. Frustration. Determination. Minho. Good. Tell them I am right. This device could revolutionize gravity manipulation. Minho walked to the sphere. He studied it carefully, walked around it, knelt down to look at the base, stood up and looked at the top. Did you check the maintenance seals? He asked. The what? Maintenance seals. The predecessors put them on every device. Small symbols that indicate when the device was last serviced and whether it passed safety checks. Valtrix blinked. I did not know about maintenance seals. Of course you did not. You are a scientist. You think about function, not maintenance. Minho pointed at a small symbol near the base of the sphere. This seal is red. That means the device failed its last safety check. It was decommissioned. Decommissioned? Broken. Not safe to use. The predecessors shut it down and marked it for removal. But they left before they could remove it. Jiwoo leaned in to look at the seal. Because you were not looking down, Minho said. You were looking at the impressive parts. The energy readings. The gravitational fields. Nobody looked at the simple maintenance markers. Valtrix's face darkened. But we could repair it, fix whatever is wrong. Maybe, or maybe it is decommissioned because the predecessors realized it was too dangerous. That the benefits did not outweigh the risks. They were smarter than us. If they shut it down, we should leave it shut down. That is overly cautious. No. That is properly cautious. There is a difference. Minho turned to face Valtrix directly. You wanted to test a device that could collapse this asteroid. You did not do basic safety checks. You did not look for warning labels. You just assumed you knew better. I am trying to advance knowledge. Knowledge is not worth dying for, especially when you take others with you. Minho's voice was firm, but not angry. Valtrix, you are brilliant. I know that. But brilliance without wisdom is dangerous. The predecessors learned that lesson. You need to learn it too. Quote, the alien scientist was quiet for a long moment. Finally, he bowed his head. You are right. I apologize. Again, apology accepted. Again, Minho smiled slightly. You will get there. You just need to stop rushing. Science takes time. Safety takes time. Let the time pass. He turned to Jiwoo. Mark this device as permanently decommissioned. Seal the chamber. Nobody activates it without explicit written permission. From 3 guardians. Yes, sir. And stop calling me sir. I am a janitor. Everyone chuckled. The tension broke. As Minho left Lab 7, Valtrix followed him. May I ask you something? Sure. Do you ever get tired of it? Always being the one who says no. Always being the one who stops progress. Minho thought about it. I do not stop progress. I stop disasters. There is a difference. Real progress happens slowly, carefully, with proper safety checks. What you were trying to do was not progress. It was gambling with lives. But how do we advance if we do not take risks? We take smart risks. Calculated risks. Risks where we know the costs and have safety measures in place. Not stupid risks where we activate ancient weapons without reading the warning labels. They reached the transport dock. Valtrix stopped there. I will try to do better. Good. And Valtrix? Yes? Thank you for consulting us before activating it. 5 years ago, you might have just done it and dealt with consequences later. The fact that you waited shows growth. I appreciate that. The alien scientist looked surprised. Then pleased. Thank you, Minho. The trip back to the Celestial Archive Station was quiet. Minho sat in the transport, looking out at the stars. 5 years of this. 5 years of maintaining peace and safety. 5 years of teaching others to look down. To check the simple things. To value wisdom over intelligence. It was working. Slowly, but working. When he arrived back at the station, it was nearly time for his shift to end. Dawn shift would start soon. The station would wake up. But Minho had one more stop to make. He went to the memorial garden. It was a small park on the station's observation level. Trees and flowers from a dozen worlds grew there in harmony. At the center stood a stone with names carved into it. Mars Colony Memorial. 3,000 names. Minho found 2 names near the bottom. Somin and Hoyun. He knelt down and touched the stone. I did good work today, he said quietly. Stopped a disaster. Taught some people. Maintained the safety protocols. You would be proud. Or maybe you would say, I am still obsessed with maintenance. He smiled sadly. But that is what I do. That is who I am. The janitor who keeps things running. A voice spoke behind him. Minho? He turned. Taejun stood there, looking uncertain. Sorry. I did not mean to interrupt. You did not. Minho stood up, his knees cracking. What is wrong? Nothing is wrong. I just wanted to tell you. I passed my certification exam. I am officially a guardian now. Congratulations. Thank you for teaching me, for being patient with all my stupid questions. There are no stupid questions, only questions not asked. Minho put a hand on the young man's shoulder. You will do good work, Taejun. You have the eye for it, the mind for it. Most importantly, you have the humility for it. I hope so. I know so. Minho looked back at the memorial stone. Do me a favor. When you are out there, maintaining the machines, keeping things safe, remember that every action matters. Every loose coupling you tighten might save lives. Every safety check you run might prevent disaster. This job is not glamorous, but it is the most important job in the galaxy. I will remember. They stood together in the garden as the station's artificial sun began to rise. A new day. New problems to solve. New things to maintain. But for now, a moment of peace. Minho looked at the stars through the observation window. Somewhere out there, the predecessors watched. Somewhere out there, other species were learning to value wisdom over intelligence. Somewhere out there, the galaxy was slowly becoming a better place. Because a janitor tightened a coupling. Because someone looked down when everyone else looked up. Because simple answers still mattered. Minho smiled. He had work to do. He always had work to do. But that was fine. Work gave life meaning. Maintenance gave purpose. He was a janitor, and the universe needed janitors most of all.